All right, guys, so today in front of me from Sagamore Spirit, we have their port-finished rye whiskey. So Sagamore took their 6-year rye whiskey and put it into Boordy Vineyard port barrels for 2 years and 6 months. I'm definitely excited to get into this one. I was a really big fan of the sherry finish they just recently put out as well. So let's see what this one is all about, guys. Without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, so as I stated, they did age their 6-year rye whiskey in Boordy Vineyards port barrels for 2 years and 6 months. This one comes in at 103 proof. Let's go ahead and get in the nose. Yeah, there's, so I remember there being a lot of sherry influence on the nose, on the sherry finished rye. Same holds true to this port finished rye. Definitely get a lot of that wine influence there on the nose. Getting I get like a almost like a sugared cherry, little bit of some raisin in there as well. Then there, a little bit further into the glass, I get like this cinnamon kind of rye spice that starts to develop there. Further into the glass, further away from the glass, I definitely pick up a lot of that red wine sweetness. Again, it's like a sugared cherry, like some date. Definitely a lot of that darker fruit. So that you can tell that red wine influence definitely played a major part, not only in the color, but on the nose on this one. But yeah, it's nice because there's a lot of sweetness further away, and then further in it gets kind of baking spice heavy. You do pick up some of those rye notes as well. It's a really nice nose, very inviting. Let's give it a palate, guys. Cheers. So that first sip is exploding with flavor. Some of that like sugared cherry that I get there, that I got there on the nose, definitely plays a part in the middle of the palate on this one. It's like sugared cherry. It's very, very sweet up front. I do pick up a little bit of that rye spice there with that sugared cherry on the middle of the palate, and then on the mid to back palate and into the finish, it turns into an even darker fruit. It's like a sugared plum. A lot of really nice honey kind of sweetness up at the front. It's got a medium finish to it, which is nice. Kind of like what I like about this one is it slowly kind of drags and pulls those flavors from the mid to back palate down into the finish. It keeps that finish going. Yeah, I mean it's a medium to long finish. I would definitely say, the higher end of that medium side, not necessarily a long finish, but it's nice because it keeps you wanting to go back for more. Really nice first sip. Let's get into the second sip, guys. Yeah, so that sip definitely changed a little bit. That little like spice bite that I got there on the middle of the palate, I was holding up with some of those like sugared cherries. The front of the palate turned kind of. I started to get a little bit of some darker fruit there. It's like a honey drenched kind of raisin. That sweetness that sits there on the front of the palate, but there's also that dark fruit appearance that kind of comes into play there. Middle of the palate, still getting a lot of that like sugared cherry, and then all of a sudden it just transitions to a darker fruit on the mid to back palate, and then to the finish, turns out like a sugary plum. And then like down into the finish, you start to pull out some of those like black pepper notes a little bit. Some of that rye influence still kind of making an appearance there right on the end. But again, it's what I like about it. It has this nice viscosity to it and this oiliness to it that just, it almost like pulls the flavors down from the back of the palate and into the finish. It just like, it pulls them down, just continuously kind of like slowly drags on. You kind of feel it, in here. It's delicious. It's really, really good. Very good. I opened this up a while ago. Poured the neck pour. It was really good. This is this I think it's actually my third pour of this. Very, very different for sure. It definitely changed with a little bit of air. I think in a better way. But man, that is, I mean, it's sugary, it's sweet. It punches you in the mouth with just red fruits, again, darker fruits. And what's nice, again, it's only it's only 103 proof, so it's not going to smack you there on the proof side. Rye spice did kind of die down after that first sip. Second sip, it didn't really make an appearance there on the palate. But this is great. I mean, there's just oils all over the glass. It's very, very viscous, nice kind of oily mouth coating. Let's get a last sip, guys. Cheers. It's dark sugared fruits just all day. There's a beautiful, again, honey sweetness that sits there on the front of the palate. A little bit of like cinnamon kind of appears there with that honey. And then, again, like there's this sugared cherry that sits there on the mid palate. Like a candy, a sugared cherry candy, and then as soon as it hits to the mid to back palate, it just like flops to this this sugary like dark plum. Then there's that black pepper that kind of starts to pull everything down. That the viscosity from this one, just really it's a slow kind of lingering finish, but again it's a medium finish because it just slowly kind of continues on. I mean, really just shy of like a long finish, but the flavor, the flavor profile on this one is just absolutely beautiful. Fantastic job here by Sagamore Spirits. So I thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And guys, again, this is, it's very, very sugary. There is a lot of fruit influence on this one. You get a lot of honey sweetness. You get some sugared cherries. You get some sugared plum. There's also like it's like a honey kind of drenched raisin there on the front of the palate is where that burst of sweetness came from. And then all of a sudden it's just like more sweetness. But there's still, that first sip really offered a balance between some of that sweetness and then some of that spice. There was some of that rye spice that made an appearance there on the first sip. And it kind of died down after the second and third sip, but the flavor profiles really remain the same. It's very consistent in that portion of the profile. Very, very consistent flavors that maintained from sip to sip to sip, which I really like. But again, a lot of sweetness to it. I think Sagamore did a fantastic job with this port finish. Again, it's definitely right up there with that sherry finish. I'd have to put them side by side in a blind and see which one I like better. But either way, Sagamore crushed it. Not surprised by that, guys. So if you're looking for more reviews like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Until next time, guys, stay dusty.